Hey, my name's Josh, and this is the Stuff I Heard podcast. You ready? Here we go. I'm going to hit record. So, hey everybody, this happens to be episode 120. 120, and this is July the 7th. Hey everybody, everybody had a happy 4th. I hope that you all have your original fingers after the 4th. A lot of people putting memes on the internet about people going with their 4th of July celebrations, and it says, just think, some of you won't have but 9 fingers tomorrow, or so on and so forth, as the joke goes. We had quite a bit of rain here in Florence, South Carolina on July 4th. It suddenly started raining its butt off right around dusk. And it rained super hard for quite a while, but then when it cleared up, we had some neighbors nearby that decided, hey, we didn't buy these fireworks for nothing. Let's go out and shoot them all. So for a while there, all we heard was bang, 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 bang. And I was like, wow, okay. The neighbors getting into it. Cool. But I had to go to work the next day, and I didn't have time for that. So I took a Tylenol PM and went to sleep because I was like, I gotta go to work tomorrow. I can't stay up and play with these idiots. So anyway, went to bed. Was able to find Disney fireworks on TV. My wife's a huge Disney fan. You know, one of the things that I was thinking about is they've really not done a great job about broadcasting this kind of stuff on TV, and I wonder why. Like, to me, Disney's one of the best examples of a company that shows you how they do something, and they want you to be sort of amazed. They want you to feel like you've had a magical experience. They want you to take pictures. They want you to go back home and tell your friends and you know, oh my God, you got to check this out. It's so amazing. And they do a great job of that. Listen, as a company, they're one of the best in the world at making you enjoy your experience so much that even while you're there, you can live broadcast things that are going on, and people at home are going, wow, I want to do that. Why can't I do that? I got to save up some money and do that. Hey, let's get online and check it out and see if we can do that. And they could do that more. Like, they're really, in my opinion, missing the ball. There's a lot that they could do online with showing you some of the festivities that they do, but then making it easier to access. And maybe they'll do that once they have their streaming service online. This Disney Plus, I think it's what it's going to be called. Maybe once that's online, it'll be something where you can click on like live feeds of the castle, or, you know, fireworks shows or parades or something like that. Because even seeing it on TV is not the same as being there. But maybe seeing it on TV is enough for you to go, wow, I need to book one of these trips. And they could put in little ad things and be like, you know, click here to have your own magical experience. It's just a thought there, Disney. I'm throwing you out some free advice. Not that anybody there's listening who cares or has any kind of influence, but that's my 2 cents worth. Just letting you know. So anywho, the 4th came and gone, and yay, a good time was had by all. Work was a little rough the next day. A lot of people were calling in sick, amazingly. I'm always amazed at the people who call in sick, and then you find out later that they're going to the beach, and it's like, hey, I thought you were sick. And you know, nowadays people don't think about social media. They don't think about the fact that they put their life online, and there's some real morons out there. I mean, they'll be like, hey boss, I can't come in, I'm sick. And then, you know, 2 hours or 4 hours later, they're posting pictures at the beach, living my best life, YOLO. You know, it's like, wait, what? What are you doing? That's just crazy. Well, I was able to listen to some podcasts this past week. I was getting to spend a little time with my app. I got, if you guys can hear a kid in the background, my grandson is here. He's in the kitchen and apparently having a loud conversation with everybody about random things, and somehow there's not enough something in between the kitchen and here for us not to hear it, because I can hear it in my headphones. Hopefully it ain't too bad for you guys. Anyway, let's talk about some podcasts to listen to. The Bertcast. This past Wednesday, the Bertcast episode 350 is with Adam Ray. Adam Ray is interesting. Adam Ray has a podcast called About Last Night that he does with Brad Williams. Brad Williams is the little people comedian. He calls himself the midget comedian. Anyway, the two of them have been on Bert's YouTube cooking show, Something's Burning, and in the episode they're drinking and they're making stuff and they're telling jokes, and at a certain point Brad falls off of his bar stool and they're like, oh no, is he okay? And anyway, they've been on the podcast with him. Bert has done their podcast and it's gone really well. Adam Ray was apparently in the movie Heat with Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy. That's it. And he talks about being friends with Sandra Bullock at a certain point because they hung out together on the set, and she apparently has done his podcast, and that's kind of a big deal because she doesn't do podcasts. But he's an interesting guy. Like, he's got a lot of funny stories. Listening to him talk, like if you hear podcasts with Brad Williams and you hear podcasts with Adam Ray, they sound really similar. I think they both grew up in the Southern California area. I think they both went to USC. And you can kind of hear that when you listen to their stories. Anyway, the edit notes for the podcast is, today I sit down with Adam Ray and talk about being a fat kid, divorced, the craziest thing I've ever done, partying, acid stories, Pete's Dragon, and the fish that saved Pittsburgh, and much more. Check out his podcast About Last Night. You can also get his new special, Read the Room, on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Amazon Music, and Amazon and Apple Music. So anyway, like I said, interesting stories, fun guy to listen to. It's a real easy podcast. I've talked about him being on Dr. Drew After Dark. Good stuff. Really is good stuff. Let's see. What else have I listened to? Let's go down the list here, because I listened to a few on the Second Chance Church podcast with Perry Noble. I missed a couple of weeks. I got caught back up. Episode 23, Make the Tag. Are you fighting a battle that you are not meant to fight? Jesus is in your corner and will fight for you. He can handle your doubts, fears, and questions. Join us for week 3 of our series, Dead Man Walking, as Pastor P shares how we can go to the place where we lost our faith and tag Jesus to fight for us. That one's kind of cool because he talks a little bit in the beginning about wrestling as a kid, watching wrestling on TV, and how, it brought back memories to me. But basically, it's like when you feel like you don't have enough, you can tag Jesus. It's interesting. Listen, I'm not doing it justice. You got to check it out. Also on the Second Chance Church podcast, God has not given up on you. The episode notes say, have you ever felt like all hope is lost in the situation and there aren't any options left for you? When we feel that way, we can just take comfort knowing that Jesus is always with us in our pain, and he feels our pain. Join us for week 4 in our series, Dead Man Walking, as Pastor P shows how we can know that God has not given up on us. And that's true. Like, I've had conversations with people where I talk about how I feel like at times amazingly blessed and just overwhelmed with a feeling of, I don't deserve this. I haven't done enough to earn this kind of whatever blessings it is that I've had. I think, it's only God's grace that allowed me to do this or allowed me to be part of this. And that's why every time I hear, Amazing Grace, I'm blown away. I think about all the stuff that I've seen and done in my life, and I feel just truly blessed. Goodness gracious. My grandson is so loud. I should have done this at a different time. To be honest, today is Sunday, and I want to apologize to the listener. If you guys are listening on a regular basis, I know you're like me. You're like, hey, where's the new download? I haven't got the new download. Trust me, I get it. I'm right on board with you. I don't know what I've been doing. I've been slacking off, honestly. I will blame Netflix, though, because Netflix came out with Stranger Things on the 4th, and I've been binging Stranger Things. There's 8 episodes in the new season. I can say for a fact it is the best of the 3 seasons that they've put out. Every episode does not disappoint. Every single episode is better than the one before it. It is so good. After working Friday, of course, you got normal family things you got to do, dinner and clean up and, touch base with the family and whatnot. And it's like, all right, let's turn on some TV. Well, like, Stranger Things is one of those things. It's not a horror, but it's not like a Disney, easy watching kind of thing. It's one of those things I guess it would be called a thriller. And me personally, I don't like to watch that kind of stuff before it's bedtime because it gets me all riled up and then my imagination takes over and then I can't sleep because my dreams are all like, hey, let's think about this really scary thing that happened. And, I guess a lot of people are like that as well. But like I have to go out of my way to go, no, I'm not going to watch that before bed. Like I'm just going to watch some other stuff. So I think even Friday night I watched just some YouTube stuff, trying to catch up on stuff with my dad. I noticed that Casey Neistat's hadn't put a video out in over a month. That's kind of interesting, considering he was doing one a day forever. I went back and answered a lot of people who had wrote me on my YouTube, and I didn't really watch anything that night. But I got up Saturday and I was like, okay, I can watch a little bit today. So I watched some Stranger Things, and then we had an invite to go over to a friend of ours' pool. And I was like, yeah, it's summertime, I want to go to a pool. So we packed up and went to the pool, and we were having a good time, and it was a nice day, and my wife had gone to the store and she got some stuff for us to grill, and I was like, this is going to be great, we're going to hang out here, and then we'll go home, we'll grill, it'll be, maybe I'll record a podcast later, it'll be, I'll get it all in there and everything's good to go. And I guess we were out in the sun, and I got a little too much sun and had a little too much fun, and when we got home, I was like, I'm going to get a shower and I'm going to take me a little nap first. Yeah, I'll just take a little nap, just a wee nap. So I laid down right about 5 o'clock and slept hard. I mean, super hard. And when I woke up, I looked at the clock and it was 11:48. I had slept for 6.5 hours. And the weirdest part was I woke up when people are going to bed. Like I woke up and went in the living room, and my wife was in there, and she was like, hey there, sleepyhead. She said, I tried to wake you up around 7 and you just slept right through it. And I thought, well, he is tired, let's let him sleep. So she let me sleep, and that's good, because apparently I needed it. But then I was up all night, and I thought, well, what am I going to do now? Oh, I can watch Stranger Things. So I literally binge watched Stranger Things. And it's not like there's a lot going on, the house is quiet, everybody else is sleeping. I put these motion sensor lights outside to kind of help out, security wise, in case anybody's creeping around the back porch. They come on and it's really, really bright, some of those LED lights. And I have a group of cats that apparently like to hang out on the back porch and set the lights off at various times of the night. So I'm in there watching this spooky show, and then lights on the back porch are coming through the window, and I'm like, kind of jumping on the couch, like, oh my God. But it was good. I mean, all in all, looking back, the show was great. I like the fact that I watched it at night, even though I was up. Got my sleep schedule all screwed up. I did stay awake. I finished watching it, and then I started watching there's a series that apparently was on Showtime called The Outlander. They have it on Netflix now. And it's about a woman who time travels. Spoiler alert. And I'm a time travel sucker. Like, if there's something about time travel, I'll watch it, because that's one of my jams. That's one of my favorite things to think about and talk about. Not that I think that it's real, but I like to think of, what if it is real? Like, what are the possibilities? What are the limitations? What if it was something that was real and we just didn't consider it? Like, we look at our history and we go, yeah, I don't know, man. That guy must have just been smart. But what if he wasn't? What if he wasn't just a smart guy? What if he was somebody that actually came back in a time? And, he's like, I'm going to invent all this stuff. And he just starts inventing stuff that was normal during his time. Listen, it's a big outreach to think that way, or to speculate, or even whatever. But what if it's true? What if it's a possibility? You look at all the things that Benjamin Franklin made. He made the bifocals. He came up with the idea of the library. He did something with electricity. What did he do with electricity? He found electricity, or he proved that electricity was real, I guess, through a key and lightning and a wire. Anyway, he did a lot of other stuff that I'm not smart enough to remember right now. But he's one of those guys where I thought, well, maybe he like was a time traveler. Maybe he knew this stuff and went back in time and just started making it. Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, you see all the drawings of his way back years ago when technology like this didn't exist. He was drawing, blueprints and diagrams for like helicopters and stuff. He's like, this would work. This could totally work. He's drawing wings for a person to wear so that they could fly like a bird. Maybe he wasn't 100% on top of things. Maybe he didn't come from that far in the future, but he had an idea. And he's like, let me jot these down. People will like this. Maybe Elon Musk is from the future. Maybe he just happens to be the guy that came back and said, listen, this is the future, this is what we're going to do, we're going to do it now. I know how to do this, I know how to solve it. I don't know. Maybe. Makes you wonder though. Makes you wonder if Albert Einstein wasn't a genius. Just a genius. Maybe he was a genius who also came from the future. Maybe he was like, listen, I got some answers. Here's what you do. Just think about it. It's a possibility. I'm not saying that it's real. I'm not saying that it's, definite. But what if? What if it was? So anyway, this show Outlander, okay? Spoiler alert, they tell this when you're watching the previews or the first few minutes. This girl, she's just, I guess, completed fighting in the war. World War II had ended. She was a nurse in the military for England. Her and her husband are in Scotland, and there's some kind of Stonehenge type thing that's out in the woods. They watch a festival at night where these girls are dancing around, and she goes there the next day because she saw a flower that she liked and she wanted to go pick the flower. So she goes to pick the flower, and she's looking at these stones in the ground, and she looks at one monolith type stone, and she goes over to it and touches it. And when she touches it, it knocks her out. And when she wakes up, she's in like the 1700s in Scotland, and there's a big feudal war going on, and she gets almost raped by a British soldier who looks like her husband, weirdly enough, and saved by some Scottish people, and she's taken into this clan. They think that she's a spy, and the first season is very intense and very interesting, and you learn that this British soldier who looked like her husband and tried to rape her ended up being like a descendant, someone who sired his family bloodline and then gave birth to him years and years later. So there's this weird duality of, this guy is a legitimate bad guy during this story, but also she knows that if she kills him, she risks killing her husband in the future. Like, she's like, if I ever go back, like he's a good man, he's a nice guy, he's my husband, I love him. And, even though this guy's evil here in this time, I can't do it. We can't kill him before he's spawned his kids. Otherwise, my guy in the future doesn't exist. Which is a weird duality, right? Because you don't know if that's going to disrupt time enough that it screws everything up, or if just her presence there is the butterfly effect that could screw up everything else that's in the future. See, there's that weird theory that if you interrupt anything, that it messes everything up. Just one little small change changes a lot of stuff in the future. Of course, then there's the idea also that if it existed in the past, it's because it always existed in the past, and that her being there was supposed to be a thing anyway. Like, her interaction was supposed to have always happened because it happened that way. There's a podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson and Joe Rogan, which they've done several together, but he talks about one of the ideas of the Big Bang is that now with this new study of them learning about gravitational fields and what they call black matter, which is the absence of matter, not the actual matter itself. It's the absence of matter. He says with them studying this stuff, he said they believe that the Big Bang never was a thing. That there's a theory that there was no beginning because there is no beginning, and there's not going to be an end because it all is in a loop. It's in a cycle, which leads itself towards the idea of a lot of things about the multiverse and a lot of things about people's theories on reincarnation and the idea that we are all part of the same fabric and we are all part of the same person. We are all part of the same life juice, if you want to call it that. They say in the Bible that we are all created of God in His image. Well, obviously God has to be more than one image, right? Even for that to be true. God can't just be a man, He can't just be a woman. Can't just be white or black or Asian or whatever. We're supposed to realize that we are all part of this fabric and that we are all connected. And maybe we're all supposed to live a different life and have different experiences so that in the end we all learn from each other and we learn how we are not so much apart and we are not so different. It's just my thought. So anyway, Outlander, it's interesting. It's a very interesting show. It's an interesting concept. The guy who plays her husband and also plays this British soldier from the past is a good actor. I mean, when he's in regular time, like, you like him and he's a nice guy and that kind of thing. And then when he's in the past, he is a villain. He plays a really good villain. I mean, one of the worst villains I've ever seen in a movie or show or anything. He's that bad. But I think that has to speak more to the writing and the acting than it does anything else. So anyway, I'm on season 2. There's only 2 seasons on there. I don't know if they canceled it or if it's still going on. But I'm watching season 2 now. The first season is like 16 episodes. The second one's like 13. I think I'm on like episode 8 of the second season. And it's not one of those shows that you can easily talk about or easily watch. There is language, there is some nudity, there is graphic killing in it. It's sort of like, in a way it's sort of like Game of Thrones in the fact that you don't want to watch it when small children are around. So like, if my grandson's here, I have to turn it off. Or if we have company coming over, I have to like, nah, this is not company friendly. It's not really like socially friendly to watch. It is one of those shows that's like a guilty pleasure. I watch it when nobody's really around and nobody's really interfering. My wife she'll read or she'll look at Facebook and kind of look over and, so what's going on now? Okay, yeah. That's kind of how she watches most shows. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up early. I apologize again for the fact that this is Sunday. I know a lot of people are like, come on man, I depend on these because I drive for a long way. Talk more, do some interesting stuff. Dance, monkey, dance! Listen, I get it. I'm one of you. Like, I listen to podcasts and I look forward to the 3-hour podcast. If you want a 3-hour podcast, go check out Joe Rogan. He's got a lot of them. If you've got your favorite guy out there, go check out their podcast. I listened to Michael Rosenbaum. That's another one I forgot to talk about. I listened to Michael Rosenbaum, creators of Smallville. Let me hit the button here. Bobcat Goldthwait. Ooh, that was a good one. This came out recently, episode 64 on the Inside of You podcast. Bobcat Goldthwait. His real name is Richard or Robert something Goldthwait. Anyway, he talks about some movies that he made. World's Greatest Dad, God Bless America, Call Me Lucky. He talks about his friendship with Kurt Cobain. Talks about opening up for Nirvana. He talks about smashing up the set on the Arsenio Hall show and the time he made a nun cry. He talks about his own depression and about being friends with Robin Williams for 30 years and how hard his death hit him. Robin Williams was one of my favorite comedic actors and comedians. And whenever he was doing his specials on TV, I would tune in all the time. When I was a kid, I would watch Mork and Mindy, was a TV show back when I was a kid, where Robin played this guy who was supposed to be from outer space, and he just happened to land in this woman's life, and they became buddies, and later on more. But he was an odd, eccentric guy, was full of energy, and I just knew that when he was on screen, I couldn't take my eyes off of him. So everything he did after that, like, I would tune in to watch. He became one of the best, to me, one of the best dramatic actors to ever be on the screen. He graduated from Juilliard, was a phenomenal talent on screen as an actor, but also was a tremendous comedian. He loved to make people laugh. And, you know, you got to see some of his pain in a lot of the movies that he portrayed because, like I said, he would play these serious roles. He played the bad guy in a movie called 1 Hour Photo. Super creepy bad guy. I mean, you could see kind of in his eyes the terrifying monster that was kind of deep in his heart. Or maybe it was just his amazing ability to act that way on screen to kind of show you, you know, the horrific things that are inside of a person. As a kid, I watched him in Garp. Good actor, just really good actor. He became friends with Bobcat Goldthwait, and they would talk openly about suicide and about depression and about things that they were going through. And he's like, yeah, but you know, that was kind of our jam. We weren't actually going to follow through with it. This was just the way we talked, and it was our kind of a joke between us. And he said, you know, when Robin did finally do it, he said it was because of something else. It wasn't because of, he said people want to say that he was on drugs and people want to say that maybe he had Parkinson's, and it wasn't any of that. He said he talked about what Robin was going through. And I don't remember the thing he called it, but it's sort of a version of what happened that I haven't heard before. And because it's coming from one of his closest friends, I take it as the truth. So anyway, it's a heavy listen, but it's also light enough that you can listen to it and not, you know, be like, oh my God, I'm so sad now. Bob does a great job of respecting his friend and honoring him and, you know, still telling his version of the story. So it's worth a listen. Go check it out. And I said I was going to cut this short. I just did 7 more minutes. Get all emotional. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up because I got people looking at me through the door for some reason. I don't know why they think this is like an open source that they can just barge in, but I'm going to put a lock on the door. So anyway, y'all take care. Thanks for watching and listening, and please rate, review, subscribe, and remember to cue the cow. And if you listen, this is where I hit a button and it goes, and that's it.